pictures of a perpetual subject. The elm in Johanna's backyard was bare, fitting the season. The tree was a pleasing sight year-round, regardless of its decor, no more or less immutable than the season before. Johanna often looked out her bedroom's big bay window and admired the tree's natural splendor. It was a raw clock beauty in a world consumed by materialistic self-obsession. Johanna set her camera up on a small tripod overlooking her backyard, the tree taking center stage in the frame. She made sure the tripod was steady and the camera secure, as she would be taking the same photo every day for a year and wanted a consistent shot. The idea to construct a photo essay had struck her after an incident at school. A group of nasty girls had taken a photo of her in the hallway, then doctored the image, widening her hips and expanding her already disproportionately large breasts. The entire class had passed the photo around via text message and social media. Rather than exact some kind of revenge on the girls or to hide herself in shame, Johanna instead chose to use her energy to highlight something true, something outside of herself. Her classmates spent most of their time on their smartphones and in front of their computers, consuming and producing photos, video, and text of and about themselves. Johanna thought of all the viral videos she had seen showing the change of one individual through daily selfies. Instead of taking her own photo for a year, she would turn the camera outward and reveal a part of herself beyond the cosmetic. The Kodak company offered a photo essay scholarship every year, and she was going to enter her project the following year. The elm in her backyard had been there before her time, and she thought would likely be still standing long after. She held a deep respect for its permanence and thought it made the perfect subject for her project. She looked through the viewfinder at the scene outside. Beyond her fenced-in backyard lay a small, overgrown field which bordered the town cemetery. She watched as tiny people in the distance got out of their cars and approached a burial tent. When she had finally found the perfect shot, the tree centered, the cemetery in the background, she snapped her first photo. "Day one," she said, smiling. Johanna delighted in her daily ritual. The tree with its old cracking bark and wide, hulking trunk struck a poignant image. After 3 months had passed, she decided to review the status of her project. She removed the memory card from her camera and plugged it into her computer, compiling all the photos into one 30-second video clip and pressed play. Vibrant yellow leaves appeared on the branches. The grass took on a livelier shade of green. People and cars in the cemetery beyond. But the tree remained still, untroubled by the world. She liked that about it. She was smiling, happy with the way the video was turning out, until she noticed a small blotch that appeared near the end. Curious, she replayed the video. The blotch appeared in the background, then grew slightly larger. She looked through the individual photos to see which were the cause of the blemish, but noticed nothing. The blotch, strangely, was only visible when she played the video. Without removing her camera from the tripod, she inspected the lens for any possible smears or smudges. Maybe, she thought, a speck of dust or dirt had landed on the lens and slid across. But she found no such obstruction. She hoped the blotch had just been a temporary digital glitch and would not interfere with her project in the months to come. For the next several weeks, she took her daily photos, and when she reached the 6-month mark, she made another video of the previous 3 months' photos in succession. The leaves turned a lush green, and she thought of all the summers she had played in the yard under the shade of the tree. Johanna hadn't noticed the figure appear in the cemetery on first viewing, as she was so enthralled by the changing of the tree. When she combined all 6 months' worth of photos and played the video, she realized that the blotch had been a person, and that person was coming toward her backyard. She was astonished, as she had been taking individual still photos roughly a day apart, and the figure appeared to be walking in her direction, almost as if she had recorded an actual short video. Johanna searched through each of the 90 or so stills to find any evidence of the blotch or the figure in the graveyard. Nothing. She walked down the hall to grab her brother Jonathan, who was home from college. She brought him into her room and sat him down in front of her computer. "John, you've got to watch this video and tell me what you see in the background," said Johanna. She pressed play and waited for his reaction. John watched intently for the full minute. "What am I looking for? Do you see someone walking in the cemetery?" Maybe. Play it back again." Johanna replayed the video. Beneath the branches of the elm, the blotch grew, and then clearly became a figure walking in the camera's direction. Although she knew it was coming, she found it no less unsettling. "Okay, I see someone walking, and it's a pretty neat video. But what's the point? John, these are still images that I've been taking once a day for the past 6 months. There's no way there could be a person walking in the same exact spot every day," replied Johanna. John chuckled and clicked one of the stills near the end, filling the screen with the image. "Huh? So you just took a video then?" Johanna shook her head. "The person doesn't appear in the stills, just when I make it a video. It doesn't make sense." Jonathan laughed as if she was pulling a prank on him and returned to his room. Johanna sat in front of her computer, playing the video over and over, trying to come up with a rational explanation for the strange figure. Her mother wandered in at one point and silently stood at the window, staring out at the backyard. "What's up, Mom?" mumbled Johanna, still concentrating on the video in front of her. Her mother lingered, as if she wanted to say something, but soon left, likely recalling a forgotten task. Johanna continued her daily photos, anticipating the destination of the figure within. When another 3 months had passed, she again took the stills and anxiously uploaded them to her computer. She played the video and waited. Green leaves disappeared from the tree, and the ground became brown and then white, but Johanna hardly noticed any of the seasonal changes. Her attention was focused solely on the erratic movements of the ghostly figure. She watched as the thing climbed the fence and set foot in her backyard. The ghoul was oddly distorted compared to the surrounding landscape, but she could make out some discernible features: long dark hair and what appeared to be a white dress. The video ended just as the figure began to advance toward her house. The door to Johanna's bedroom suddenly opened, causing her to gasp. "Mom!" yelled Johanna. "Could you knock?" Her mom peeked into her room and sighed. "Oh, Jojo." "It's all right, Mom," said Johanna, the image of the mysterious figure fresh on her mind. She actually found her mother's presence a relief, especially since her brother was away at college. "I'm just busy." Before she could finish her thought, her mom left, shutting the door behind her. Johanna watched the video again, nervously considering what it meant for the ghoul to enter her family's domain. Again, she checked the images individually and saw no evidence of an approaching figure. She looked over at the camera as it sat in front of the window. What would appear in the next video, she wondered. If she continued to take photos, would she see the figure move even closer? Perhaps even come to her window? She stood up nervously and looked outside. There was no discernible evidence that anyone had been in the backyard that morning. The snow was untouched, save for the footprints of small game. There was no explanation for what she was witnessing when she ran her day-to-day stills together, and this unknown filled her with trepidation. Johanna unscrewed the camera from the tripod and placed it in her bag, deciding that she already had enough to worry about in her daily life. But when she thought back to school, to the taunts, the crass concerns of her peers, she realized that she couldn't give up. The photo study was too important an undertaking for her to end over some irrational fear. So she took the camera back out of the bag, screwed it back on the tripod, and set it up to capture the same image. Whoever or whatever the figure was, she was going to finish her project and bear witness to the ghoul's intention. Every day for the next 3 months, Johanna dealt with her anxiety, walking to her bedroom window and shooting a photo of the tree and its surroundings. Finally, on the 1-year anniversary of her project, she snapped the final picture and went to her computer to watch the last 3 months unfold. With a near paralyzing dread, she compiled the full video and pushed play. There, as clear as the waning snow and newly minted red leaves, was the approaching figure. The scenery changed, and the sky took on various shades with each passing day. But the ghoul was a constant. It worked its way from the cemetery to the fence, climbing it and entering her family's backyard. She shuddered as the final 3 months of stills began with the ghoul now seemingly advancing with purpose toward her bedroom window. Johanna was shocked when the figure abruptly turned toward the tree and began to climb it. She lost sight of the figure as it ascended the tree and was obscured by the leaves. She shot a quick look out her window at the tree, expecting to catch a real-world glimpse of something. Moving branches, a flash of the white dress. But she saw nothing out of the ordinary. Johanna turned her attention back to the video. She sat shaking and watched the remaining stills flash by, momentarily thinking that the ghoul had vanished, when suddenly the figure in white dropped below the lowest branches, grotesquely swaying with each successive still, seemingly hanging by its neck. But there was no rope in view. Johanna cried as the video ended, unable to process the horrific image she had witnessed. She ran out of her room and down the hallway. She screamed her brother's name as she pounded on his door. "What?" exclaimed Jonathan, coming out of his room. Johanna frantically described to him what she had just watched, and he seemed to look at her in pity. She dragged him back to her bedroom and was about to play the video when he stopped her. "What are you doing, John? You have to see this. It's really freaky." "Joe, open up the first image," he said wearily. "Check the date." "Why?" Johanna was confused. She was certain there would be no evidence of the hanging ghoul in the early stills, the same as there was nothing of the figure in any of the more recent pictures. "Please, just do it." Johanna double-clicked the first photo. She was shocked to see the file was named November 25th, 2015. "Huh? I don't get it. I took that photo last year. Why is it today's date?" Jonathan sighed, then looked at his sister morosely. "Because that's the day you died." She looked at her brother, horrified that he'd make such a dumb joke when she was trying to figure out a real-life mystery. "That's not funny, John. There's a ghost in our backyard. and I think it's important for all of us that we figure out why. Joe, today's date is November 25th, 2019. Click on the photo you took today. She obediently opened the file for the picture she had taken that morning, November 25th, 2014. She cocked her head to the side and looked at the date curiously. Johanna smirked at her older brother, trying to figure out his angle. Okay, let me go online and see what today's date is. She went to a few news sites, and sure enough, it was November 25th, 2019. I really don't understand what's happening, John. Johanna, check the dates on the pictures you took yesterday and the day before. She clicked on them, and oddly enough, they were dated November 26, 2014 and November 27th, 2014. Why aren't they in the order I took them? They are, Johanna. John opened the video again, reversing it and pressing play. She focused intently as the full video played. No ghoul emerged from the graveyard, nor entered her backyard, and nothing but leaves fell from the tree. John, why is there no ghost now? Joe, did you notice how the seasons seem to change in a different order than in your version? She nodded. They weren't in the right order before. I'm sorry, Johanna. This is the 5th time you've done this photo project, and the 4th time I've had to explain to you that you're no longer living. You killed yourself the same day you finished your photo essay, and for some reason, you've been repeating it year after year. Johanna began silently weeping as John continued. Joe, remember when you used to drive me to school? You were 3 years older than me when you died. I've aged, and you've stayed the same. And did you notice that you haven't had a conversation with Mom in the past year? She can't see or hear you. She thought back to the last year. It was true. She had not had an in-depth conversation with her mother, but she had never really thought about it. And Jonathan did look suddenly older. She searched her mind for a rational explanation, anything that could disprove her brother's wild claims, but she knew it was futile. She resigned herself to his explanation. She knew it was true. What happens now, John? Can you remember the day that you died? I've asked you year after year to remember that day and to please explain why you hanged yourself. John, I can't remember. Oh God, what's happening to me? She lifted her arm and saw that it had become incorporeal, an almost hazy outline of what was once her limb. Joe, I want you to know that I did submit your photo essay to the contest. You won. Mom was really proud, and they ended up giving me the scholarship in your name. A tear streamed down Jonathan's cheek in what had become an annual moment of anguish. Johanna hugged her brother. I'm not going to remember this, am I? I'm sorry, Joe, but I'll see you soon. With that, Johanna faded from the material world. Outside, the elm tree swayed in the autumn breeze.